Welcome to the Super Speedway.
Welcome to episode 295 of the Super Speedway podcast, recorded Tuesday, September 12th, 2023. I'm your host, Eric Young, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, James Cush. James, how's it going this week?
Oh, fantastic, man. We've had a bunch of racing, a whole NFL weekend in the books now. We are, it feels like fall. It's cold outside. This is my favorite time of year, I think.
Dude, I had so much stuff to get to this weekend. I went out to Birch Run Speedway for their big, the big one, they call it. They had the CRA late models and the super late models out there. So I went out to that on Saturday night. I had the truck race, the Xfinity race, the Cup race, so three NASCAR races this weekend. IndyCar had their season finale this weekend at Laguna Seca. And Super Motocross had their first playoff race at Charlotte.
Oh, yes.
So,
yes.
I mean, dude, I was watching, and I watched a good chunk of the ARCA race, too. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Plus your Bears got kicked.
I didn't watch that. Yeah, and I watched the entire Lions game as well.
Oh, my gosh. I was way past my bedtime, but I was super excited about that one. So, yes, Lions are lioning. We'll see how we do here. I'm not going to say too much.
Right.
I'm not going to say too much.
Right.
I'm just going to let it just bask in it for just a little while longer. I got a whole 5 more days to go. So
yeah, you might as well enjoy it. They beat the defending Super Bowl champs. I mean,
spoiled the party.
Give it to them, I guess. Yeah, there's nothing better than going in because were they there or were
they were there? Yeah.
So you go into their house and spoil their victory party.
Oh yeah.
How great.
Yep. And kicked the Packers out of the playoffs at the end of last season. So I'm basking in it now. It's not good.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is an unfamiliar feeling for me. So I'm just gonna bottle it up for a little while longer. Stay calm.
Yeah. Give you a week and then things will turn around.
This is not an NFL podcast.
No, it's a NASCAR podcast. So let's talk some NASCAR. Let's talk some Kansas, James. I don't know if this race lived up to what I was expecting out of Kansas because Kansas has been really, really, really good lately. But this was a pretty good race. It just wasn't what Kansas has been lately. So
yes.
But we had a little bit of everything. The restarts here are just freaking insane. Three series. Honestly, I thought the restarts in the truck series were crazier than any of the other ones.
Well, especially when you've got tire strategy going on. And different guys going. We'll talk probably restarts a little bit.
Yeah.
With Denny Hamlin, but
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's nuts.
So Tyler Reddick gets the 45, another win at Kansas. 3 of the last 4 Kansas races have been won by the 45. So all different drivers.
Yeah,
it's funny.
I know.
But Tyler Reddick gets playoff win, moves on to the next round. I can't remember. I think I had him out the first round, didn't I? I think so.
I think you did. Yeah, I'm looking at my board. I got him in, but I also had Bubba in, and that was my worry. But Bubba looked freaking fast too. So 2311 brought some good cars, but Bubba also obviously had some bad luck.
Yeah.
But he would have had probably a top 5 finish, I think.
Well, and he can redeem himself this weekend because he is good at Bristol. So
yeah.
You never know.
A lot of guys good at Bristol.
But he's got to do well at Bristol. He's 19 right now, so.
Yeah, he kind of handled that pretty well. I was actually a little bit impressed. I was like, that for as bad of a day as that was, I guess you can't really be too upset when a tire goes on you, but.
No.
But anyway, yeah, Tyler Reddick.
He only led 2 laps, James.
Yeah, but he's, he was good last week. We should have known this too. Michigan, remember they brought a rocket ship to Michigan,
right?
And pit road debacle happened on him there. But yeah, when he's got something, he was up there all day. It wasn't like he lucked into it. It's just the strategy played out in his favor.
Right.
So great pit call by the team. I know I think Denny Hamlin called him out last week on his podcast. He kind of gave the 45 team a little bit of the business on how they were handling their pit stops, but that was the right call. They get up to the front and then try to get around a couple of slower cars, and there you go, able to hold them off.
Yeah, complete opposite story of Christopher Bell, who again has the best pit crew in the series and has more pit road issues this weekend.
They should just swap the teams back.
I'm telling you,
man. That's crazy.
And then, where did he end up? Chase Briscoe ends up 19th. Nobody cares, but his pit crew set the fastest pit time ever in NASCAR.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
Because it happens when there's no pressure because you're running
exactly.
terrible.
Yeah. Just go as hard as you can on pit road. We'll get the record.
So Denny Hamlin was cruising to a win in this race. This thing was pretty much set with Denny up front. And we get the late caution when Chris Buescher gets into the wall. Denny ends up cost on the restart, and let's talk about it because Denny called out on his podcast. I was going to message you the clip and say, "Oh, Denny's whining again." But then as I'm listening to it, it's like, man, Denny's not wrong. NASCAR's been trying to police this restart stuff all season long, and everybody's laying back, and Denny got caught looking behind him instead of looking forward, and just looked like he was asleep on the restart, but was trying to get whoever was, I can't remember who was behind him.
It was Larson.
Okay. Trying to keep Larson from getting an advantage on him, and he ended up screwing himself over and probably cost himself a win. So Denny's suggestion is NASCAR needs to throw the caution and start again. What do you think?
I think Denny needs to worry about his own business and take care of it. I don't get this. We have all these rules in place, so we need to have more rules in place to make sure that drivers are doing their job. Yeah, but I don't think so.
You realize that, I mean, every other series in the world will just call the restart off and do it again, right? I mean, IndyCar does it. Your local short track does it.
If NASCAR doesn't call it, then they don't call it. I mean, if you're going to call it, and if you're not, you're not. They didn't call it. Yeah. So you got it. This is the problem.
But Denny's not trying to fix this weekend. Denny's trying to fix next weekend. Denny wants NASCAR to step up, and I guarantee you NASCAR is going to say something going into this weekend. They're going to remind everybody to stop playing these games.
Yep, politicking, right?
And then what's going to happen is everybody's going to bunch up, and they're going to do like they did. I think it was at New Hampshire where they wrecked half the field because they're all going to run in the back of each other because they're doing what NASCAR wants them to do. So you can't win either way. But
the restarts were incredible, in my opinion. I wouldn't bother it.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely games going on, especially in the late restarts, because they all know, and that's the problem with this car is you can't pass. So especially if you're running 2 laps. I mean, there's not enough time in 2 laps to get an advantage unless you're cheating on the start. So, I don't know. I mean, my mindset, James. My mindset has always been wave the green flag and the race is on. I don't care where you're at.
Yep.
If you're not up where you're supposed to be, who cares? Suck it up, deal with it. But when the green flag flies, you do what you got to do and you race. That's the way IndyCar does it. That's the way it should be. I love that.
Yeah. Yep.
And we've kind of done that a little bit on the road courses. But NASCAR still has to do it everywhere else. They have this stupid restart zone that used to be a line, and then it got to be a small zone, and then it was a bigger zone. And then this year we went even bigger, and now we shrunk it back down. And it's like, for God's sakes, just green flag, go.
Yep, green flag, go. I like that. The 2 weeks in a row now, Denny Hamlin has, I know he's running the best of anybody in the playoffs right now. But yet again, here we are, and Denny Hamlin is not closing things out.
Yeah.
How am I supposed to have any confidence that he's going to win a championship if he's he's this far into his career and we're still having the same conversation with him? He doesn't close. He never closes. It's like his gremlin or something. Even something as simple as this, he can't close.
Yeah.
And then last week we have is it a tire loose or is it not? Sure, it probably was, but that again, fast cars can't close.
Yeah,
it's been happening to him since he was, 2010. He was leading the point standings at Homestead. He's been doing it ever since.
Yep.
So it's just a theme.
Yeah,
so
you're not wrong.
I'm gonna keep an eye on. I mean, I don't know, man. Either he's as many times as you think he's gonna climb the mountain and finally have it. He's still. I mean, we're 8 races left to go in the season, and here we are, still having the same conversations about it. So, I don't know. Something I thought of, but I didn't know if you were thinking. I don't know if that was something you were thinking about.
I wasn't really there yet, because I think he's gonna get through, and we'll be talking. I mean, you wipe the slate clean for the next round, and you start all over. So,
yeah. Well, we may be. We may be a regular season champion out.
Well, that's what I was going to say is you talk about somebody who needs to close. How about Truex needs to close this weekend?
What a disaster.
No freaking kidding. And so there was controversy here, James, because the officials made the decision to tow the car to the garage. And once the car goes to the garage, you're out of the race. Mm-hmm. And the team was upset because they wanted to have a chance to look at it to see if they could fix it. They weren't fixing this car.
No.
But I will get back on my soapbox and say, why do we have a damaged vehicle policy?
Right.
I don't understand this thing. First of all, I don't understand why we insist on making them repair the car on pit road, and the pit wall is the end all be all. As soon as you go past it, you're out of the race, because that, first of all, makes the pit road unsafe. It makes it to where now the reason that the decision was made to not tow the car to the pit stall is because if they tow the car to the pit stall and then they decide they can't fix the car, they need to then tow the car off the pit road. So now you've got an extended caution. Right. So just put it behind the wall and let them make the decision back there and fix it. And if you want to keep the clock, but have it behind the wall. But there's so much discrepancy over when the clock is in existence, when it's not, how you get off the clock. It's not like people are going out with safe cars and getting off the clock. There's people that are going out with unsafe cars to try and make speed to get off the clock. And then they spend half the race fixing the car anyway.
Yeah. So, and then in a mechanical issue, there is no clock. You can do whatever you want to do. You can go behind the wall. Yep. It's just, get rid of the inconsistency. I really, if you want to solve the issue of these cars going back out on the track when they're damaged, then change the point structure to where you don't get points after 20th place or 25th place or 30th place or whatever. Right. Then there's no incentive to go out there. Yep. I've been against this damaged vehicle policy since it went into existence. It cost Matt Kenseth the chance at a championship. Not that I'm a Matt Kenseth fan, but he got screwed on this deal. It's dumb. Yeah. I was trying to put some thought into this, and I don't know. I don't really have a good solution. I don't know what problem we're solving. We're not solving debris on the track. We're not solving slow cars on the track. We're not solving people going out with unsafe cars. Can't we just say something simple like, if your car goes 10 laps down, if you're 10 laps down at any point in the race, you're done. Yeah. I don't know. Park it. No, that's true. Something's wrong. You're broken. You're not running fast. We're in a wreck or whatever. I don't know what that number is. You could tell me 15 or 20. I guess I don't know. The other thing we could say? Yeah. We could also say, if you can't drive back to the pit stall, you're out of the race. Which has been my argument over the flat tires. When Joey Logano that's why he was screaming. Yeah. Need a push, right? So, and that's a weird thing too, you know? Like, Joey can't drive back, but he's not technically out. He just has flats. Yep. So it's dumb. Part of the car being the way the car is a problem too. I mean, it's, obviously not perfect, but it's really a moot point because Truex was out. I mean, they weren't going back on the track. They weren't fixing that right front suspension. Well, and it's reassuring to know, I guess, in my opinion as well, that if you have a bad race followed by bad luck, it doesn't matter who you are in the playoffs. Like, you should not be able to advance, even if you are the regular season champ. There should be a penalty, and right now we have basically, if you want to think of it in stick and ball sports, we got an 8 seed beating a 1 seed here, because somebody's going in that doesn't belong, and the regular season champ is in trouble, and he's not. He doesn't. They don't bring rocket ships to Bristol very often with the 19 car either. So no, I would be very, very nervous if I was on Martin Truex Jr.'s team. Well, I mean, I guess we're kind of talking about it, but you look at who he's got to gain ground on, and it seems very difficult. Yeah, like Kevin Harvick is good. Logano, I think maybe that's the most realistic one. Even though, I mean, he's still good. Bell's really good at Bristol. Busher, I don't know. Kyle Busch is great at Bristol. Ryan Blaney is great at Bristol. I think he's got big enough. Yeah. I think anybody above Blaney is good. I think anybody above. Yeah. I think Kyle Busch is the spot. He's 24 points and I don't know, James. In pretty good shape. You see Blaney go out there and do what he did several years ago, where he goes out and gets caught up in a wreck in the first stage. Yeah. Oh, well, he immediately falls out. So yes, I agree with you. I mean, extenuating circumstances, but you got to be feeling pretty good if you've got a 24 point. If Brad Keselowski has a crappy day, he still probably makes it. And he should. He's had good runs. Yeah, definitely in this play. Definitely. I mean, won a stage in this race, and he's. I'm just saying, Blaney can't afford a bad day. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. So. Yeah, I think Byron's good. Hamlin is good. Obviously, they're all good. Those guys are good. Yeah. I don't think they have to worry a whole heck of a lot. But yeah, Truex is this is a mountain to climb, because Harvick's gonna come in there, and he might not be faster than Martin Truex Jr., but he ain't going away. He's gonna stay within 7 points of Martin, pretty much, and he's smart. So that team will be tough to to handle.
Yeah,
so
Truex,
this is gonna be tough.
I mean, they're going to have to do everything they can to win both first stages and get themselves, get an advantage.
Yep. Yeah, you got to play for points.
I mean, they are only 7 out, but like you said, they're 7 out from Harvick. So
yes, and that's tough. That's
and,
tough.
and
That's
none
why
of
I think
those guys.
the number. Yeah.
There's no. I mean, obviously it's playoffs, so you don't really expect anybody to be easy to beat. But I mean, the two of the guys that we had out for sure are where we expected them to be.
Yeah,
15th and 16th. So yeah. So I mean, the rest of the guys are pretty stout that he's gonna have to pass.
Yep, and it gets tougher. This is a tough field. We said that going into this. This playoff field is very difficult.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what you get when you have people like Chase Elliott and Alex Bowman, that don't make the playoffs.
Yes.
If you got that good of guys that are missing the playoffs, I mean, Chase is extenuating circumstances, but still he missed the playoffs.
Yep.
He missed the playoffs in a win in your in system. So, those guys are good.
Yep.
So, speaking of Chase Elliott, he and Kyle Larson had a little disagreement. Chase Elliott is brushing it off all week now that it's no big deal.
Man, I can't even keep myself quiet. I'm so disgusted by the whole thing.
Yeah, but Chase. I'm sorry, guys. I know that people love Chase Elliott, but this season has screwed with him, and he is not the same Chase Elliott. He is frustrated, and I've seen it. I saw it in person at Michigan. He is, whether it's because he's tired of the media asking him the questions, or he's frustrated because he didn't make the playoffs, or frustrated that he cost himself a shot at the playoffs. I don't know what it is, but he's frustrated. He's irritated. I don't blame him. It's been a crappy year.
Yeah.
But, I mean, this whole keep acting like there's nothing going on is
it's petulance.
silly.
Yeah. And that was, I mean, if your teammate door slams you and he deserves to, get knocked around a little bit, I guess that's one thing. Right. That was so above and beyond what needed to happen there. I mean, Kyle got shoved up into the lane, and I'm going to sound like a Larson apologist, but I mean, he really did have nowhere to go. And it's not like he'd slammed Chase very hard. He just kind of got up into him a little bit. But your teammates in a playoff battle where every point really matters.
Well, and Chase says that, well, I didn't understand the situation, and once I knew the situation, then it was my fault. Yeah, I get that, and that's fine for any other driver in the field, but this is your freaking teammate who's racing for the championship. You don't you have to give him the benefit of the doubt unless you have a problem.
Yeah.
And he obviously has a problem. I don't care what he says.
Yeah. They have a relationship issue. Yeah. I think Daniel Trotta said this part of it, but yeah, there's definitely I don't know if it's a rivalry or if it's a feud, whatever you want to call it, but the 5 and the 24 or the 5 and the 9, sorry, he used to drive the 24. Right. The 5 and the 9, they've got a little bit of I don't know. There's bad blood there. To steal a Taylor Swift line, right? But yeah,
don't worry, I won't play the audio clip for that.
Thank God. It costs too much.
Yeah, we don't have that kind of money.
Yeah, but there's definitely, I pointed out on Twitter, I kind of hinted at there's an alpha dog problem, where Chase Elliott's not the best guy there anymore. And Eric, we talked about this years ago on this podcast when Larson came in. It's like, oh man,
how does that have to make Chase Elliott feel? Well, I think
he was the champ. He was the reigning champ,
right?
And it's like, oh crap, you're the reigning champ, and you're not the best guy in your building anymore.
Yep.
And now you've got Byron ascending. It's, you're not really in the conversation outside of what are you doing wrong. I can understand his frustration, but you got to be better than that. You're a champion in the sport. You got to carry yourself a little better, especially with that organization.
Yeah.
Who likes to, the organization itself likes to grandstand and tell drivers how to act. See Rick Hendrick and Ross Chastain. And Jeff Gordon, not happy about this, by the way.
Right.
He was grumpy when this all came about. So
I will
probably a meeting.
Let me give you the rosy sunglasses point of view from the other side, though, James, and give you Dale Jr.'s perspective.
Oh boy,
Dale Jr. says that everybody wants Chase to have a personality. Well, this is his personality.
Sure.
So his personality is showing. That's what we wanted, right?
So he's a little bit of a petulant baby. I mean, I know he went on Sirius tonight, and now I understand what happened. But
that's because he got a talking to.
That post race interview, you got exactly who he is. Well, nothing happened. It's not me.
Yeah. Well, not
Is
even
he-
that, but he's irritated with being asked about it.
This is gonna probably drive you nuts when I say this. Is he an only child? He sure does act like an only
That
child.
doesn't drive me nuts. Actually, I've told you before why I identify with Kyle Busch so well.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Well, I've been in a
it is really easy for me to criticize Chase Elliott and not act like I wouldn't be the same way.
For the listeners out there, I've been in a marriage on this podcast with an only child for a while. I know the signs at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, man.
That's all good. It's all good.
I've got my flaws. You feel free to call
Dude,
them out.
I can accept the truth. I mean, I hear it from my wife too.
Oh, there you go. And that's why you guys had twins.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't want them to be only children. Now they just bicker all the time. So
Right. Well, yeah, I'm in that boat too, my man. Don't worry.
yeah. So playoffs outside looking in right now. Martin Truex Jr. is -7, Bubba Wallace -19, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. -22, Michael McDowell -40. Those two aren't getting in, right? I mean, well,
No, they gotta win.
Stenhouse has run well at Bristol.
Yeah, but
So-
he's gotta win. He's gotta. Well, 22.
Michael McDowell's run well at Bristol.
So okay, best case scenario for Ricky Stenhouse, he wins 2 stages. He gets to -2 or whatever that number would be.
Yeah, Stenhouse doesn't dominate
It's
this race
a
though.
long. It's still a long
Stenhouse
shot.
and McDowell are must wins. They're not pointing their way in
No.
unless somebody
No.
has trouble.
The thing is if you think Martin Truex is going to make it, who comes out?
Yeah, I don't know.
Is it
Joey? Probably Joey. Christopher
the
Bell. I
weakest.
mean, they keep shooting themselves in the foot.
Yeah. Is it Busher?
I don't think so.
Probably not.
Not the defending winner of this race.
Is it Ross?
Maybe, I don't know.
I don't
Plus
think
18,
so.
he's gonna have to really screw up.
Really screw up. But that's the thing. Things happen, right? It's
Yeah,
happened
it's
to
Bristol.
Truex. It's happened to Bubba.
It's Bristol in this car. All it takes is one good smack to the wall, and
Yep.
so I don't know. It'll be interesting.
Boy. Yeah.
Um,
I don't know. This is a tough one.
I mean, we sit there and say that Ross Chastain's pretty safe at 18 in, but Bubba's 19 out, and I think both of us probably would say Bubba could probably point his way back in. So
He still could, yeah. It's a long shot, but I think the thing with Martin is, okay, is he going to have a third disaster in a
Right.
row? I mean, the odds of 3 disasters in a row are extremely high. He's going to have to hit a top 5 or a top 10 as good as he's been. So
at Bristol though,
yeah, but you got to think he's going to be better than what he's been. So I don't know, man. I don't know. It's hard. I cannot believe the regular season champ's about to get knocked out. I'll believe it when I see it.
yeah. Well, here I have a question for you.
Sure.
Martin Truex Jr. and Bubba Wallace. Is there a scenario you see both of them getting in? One of them's
Somebody's
out, right?
Like Christopher Bell and Joey Logano got to take each other out or something. That's got to be the only way. I can't see it. I can't see 2 guys coming down. I mean, it can happen. I mean, mathematically, it's not out of the realm of possibility looking at the numbers, but it's the drivers and the teams. And you're just looking at like how these are really good. Like these are really good race cars and really good teams.
Just for the record, last year, this race, Martin Truex Jr. 36th. Steering
Well, there you
issues. Remember him?
Well-
The Gibbs cars had steering issues.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah. So there you go.
Well, they didn't fix the car at Darlington before the race, and now they popped a tire. So I guess maybe those are out of the way. I don't know. The gremlins are. Yeah.
Best JGR car last year is Christopher Bell in 4th. Denny Hamlin finished 9th.
Christopher Bell's pit crew can't be that bad again. My God, they switched pit crews for him, and they're still bad.
Right?
Oh man.
I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. Gotta love the cutoffs.
You got to think the RFK cars are in the mix, and I don't even care about Byron and Hamlin. Like I'm not even factoring them in because I think they're good. So
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know, man. This is nuts.
Yes, it is.
This is nuts. Can I shout out Joey Logano?
Yeah.
Like man, that
Yeah, no
team-
kidding. That move they made at the end.
They made a great call from being like what +3 to +12. I mean,
Yeah.
that was huge. I mean,
that's potentially getting you in the next round right there.
well, dude, that's championship pedigree.
Yeah.
You know, like that's the kind of thing. Like, like Bubba Wallace's team, they're not going to have that. Even Tyler Reddick's team, like they're not going. They don't think that way. But man, when you've got championships in the bag and you've got, that experience. what an unbelievable day. And they finished top 3 with it. So,
hey, it's like faking a punt on 4th down, right?
yeah, man.
I mean,
well, they didn't finish top 3. I'm sorry. They finished 5th, but they were in the top 3 there for the restart.
Yeah. Speaking of shouting people out,
Let's do it, man. We got a few, don't we?
where the hell did Eric Jones come from the last 2 weeks?
Dude, that car, he shows up when the playoffs are here. If they could just get the guy in,
Right?
he'd be in good shape.
3rd place freaking finish. He almost won this thing.
He had a shot at it. The strategy was there for him. I mean, he had a shot at it. But yeah, I had my hands on my knees and I was leaning forward, staring at the TV on the last restart, thinking, man, can Eric Jones pull one off?
Yeah.
But that's the best finish that he's had with the Legacy group now, as they're currently constructed.
You got to imagine that coming in to next season when they actually are going to get some support again.
Oh, if this
they got to be happy with this type of result when they're not, when they have no support.
Yeah, Toyota's got to be chomping at the bit to get that driver in their camp.
No kidding.
If Tyler Reddick and Bubba Wallace are able to win races, Eric Jones can do it.
Definitely.
With them. So.
Definitely. And from the sounds of what Jimmy's saying, I mean, obviously Jimmy's going to have a rosy view of the whole thing, but the way Jimmy's talking, Toyota's not going to do a top team, 2nd tier team, 3rd tier team. These are our Toyota teams.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're going to be on equal ground to, 2311 and JGR.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, man.
Yeah, I mean,
we
know Toyota. I mean, they know they want more teams because they have enough resources for those teams.
Yeah.
So you're only looking at up on that, and that.
Yeah, well,
I mean, obviously, it has to be a pretty good deal to get Jimmy to leave Chevy.
Yeah, and it only makes the sport better when you've got higher quality cars throughout the field.
Yeah.
So if you're bumping up the 43 and the 42. That's going to be good. I'm happy about that.
Toyota changed the game, man. I mean, they've made NASCAR a factory sport, like Supercross. I mean, to the point where it's all the manufacturer sport that matters.
Yep. You've got Hendrick. You've got and Fords are all over the place.
Yeah.
And then you got the Toyotas who are kind of a conglomerate. Yep. So
if the other manufacturers could follow suit and have a similar system, I think they'd have a better job of competing with. I mean, at the same time, Toyota's not winning the championship every year either. So,
well, right. Yeah, Ford. I think Ford's a little more scattered than anybody. I mean, RFK is obviously
Ford's a mess right now.
They're a mess with Stuart Haas. I mean, their flagship teams are the worst of the two.
Yeah,
worst of the bunch. So,
Carson Hocevar finishes 20th.
A good run for him. Yeah.
Yep. Good to see. One more race scheduled for him in this car. He'll race at Bristol this weekend. Anybody else we want to shout out? Alex Bowman got a top 10.
Yeah, he was fast. Ty Gibbs was up there for a little bit.
Yeah.
So there was some speed there to be had. But yeah, we didn't have any crazy pit calls that cost anybody anything, but
really a pretty clean Kansas. We've seen some wild wrecks at Kansas, and it was a pretty clean race.
Yeah.
Other than tire issues.
Yeah, and the drivers, the playoff drivers, I mean, almost every playoff driver had some sort of an issue, but the driver, I mean, they're so on edge, and right. Like Larson looked like he was going to flat out dominate, and then they made a bad pit call and kind of messed up their strategy and had to battle back through the field. Hamlin, again, pit call, what are you going to do, late caution? So, yeah, it mixes it up when you got that going on. And that, I think that adds to the excitement, but the racing itself, I think, was pretty solid all the way through. I didn't have any complaints about it, that's for sure. Yeah,
it was a good race, good solid race. Like I said, I was expecting more out of it because Kansas has been so good, but I don't have any complaints. It was a good race.
Yeah, but we got Bristol looming.
We do have Bristol, although Bristol hasn't been as good as we expect, but the night race has been pretty decent. And so, especially since we've gone to one race here.
One race is all you need.
I think it's interesting. Yeah. So,
yep.
NASCAR Xfinity Series was in action this weekend as well. The Kansas Lottery 300. John Hunter Nemechek once again gets a win. Leads 154 laps of a 200-lap race, James. 3/4 of the race.
Yeah.
Still almost loses it to Brandon Jones, who was charging at the end, trying to make it into the playoffs, but falls just short.
Yep.
But yeah, John Hunter, another win for him. I don't remember how many that is this season.
Won all the stages. He's had a good week. Had a great week.
We're going to talk about John Hunter. Maybe we can talk about him now. They made the announcement this week that he's going to drive the 42 for Legacy Motor Club in 2024, which, I mean, we declared that a few weeks ago. It was pretty obvious this is what was going to happen. I know you gave John Hunter a lot of crap for going back to the Truck Series. And,
I do. I still do.
But, I mean, this is a guy that ran pretty decent in a car that was terrible in the Cup Series, a low-funded team, decided to step back down. I mean, I guess he didn't decide. He didn't have a shot in the Cup Series, so he went back down and decided to win some races, and now he's become one of the hottest prospects for the Cup Series. I mean, he did everything right?
I mean, I don't know.
I know you hate him going all the way back down, but I mean, he increased his stock. He did what Noah Gregson's going to have to do.
He did what he wanted to do. My argument is, what is he showing you now that he already didn't show you before? Like, he's got 6 wins on the season.
Well, the
like,
difference is that he's got people that want him now. Nobody wanted him before.
He's gonna go race for Jimmy Johnson. I think that's pretty good.
But if he didn't do what he did, he would be probably, working some counter at a shop somewhere and not in the series at all, right?
Well, let me give
maybe
you
racing a late model every couple weekends.
Let me give you a name.
Okay.
And just humor me.
All right.
I know it's a different circumstance. Right now, who would you rather have? Chris Buescher or John Hunter Nemechek?
If I was going to pick a driver right now to be on my team, which one would I pick?
There's a 4-year age difference. Chris Buescher's a little older.
I think that, let me put it this way, that decision is a much tougher decision than it was 6 months ago.
What would it have been 6 months ago? Chris Buescher?
No, actually 6 months ago, I'd have said John Hunter Nemechek.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay. Yeah.
But Chris Buescher, with what he's done this season, I think has increased his stock a lot for me, especially the last, like I said, 6 months or so.
Yep. And it's about the path you take, right?
Yeah.
And I guess, long story short, there's no real wrong way to do it as long as you stay relevant. And Chris Buescher, he did the old school way where he was grinding. Ross Chastain is another example of this.
But Ross Chastain went down and ran Truck Series races. When Ross Chastain competed for the championship in the Truck Series is what increased his stock.
Well, and remember too, Ross was running like all 3 series all the time. Like he was racing a ton of stuff for a long time.
If you're struggling in the major leagues, you go back down in the minor leagues and regroup, right?
Sure. I mean, you can do it either way, right? As long as you stay relevant.
I think you're better off bringing trophies home and doing interviews on the front stretch at the start finish line at the end of races in the Truck Series than you are finishing 35th in the Cup Series every weekend.
Yeah. See, my argument against that is John Hunter Nemechek is super talented, but I think he's stunted his growth by not putting time into the Cup Series versus what he's doing now.
Okay, let me counter that. Does anything in the Cup Series before last year matter?
I think it does a little bit.
I don't think it does a
lot. Not as much as it used to.
If anything, the Truck Series better prepared him.
Could be lower horsepower, right?
Yeah,
higher downforce.
Similar driving style. Similar aggression.
So what did he do this year?
Right. Yeah, I know.
It's like,
well, what did he do this year? He's collected himself a championship trophy. Probably.
I feel like you and I could twist our arguments each way, back and forth. Honestly, there's no wrong answer here.
You and I have differed on this all along. I've always felt that I think John Hunter Nemechek did the right thing. I think he increased his stock by going back down. And did he cost himself years in the Cup Series? Yeah, because he hasn't been in the Cup Series the last 3 years.
Yeah.
But I still would rather be winning races in the Truck Series and the Xfinity Series than finishing outside of the TV window, in the Cup Series. So John Hunter Nemechek does have the advantage too that John Hunter Nemechek is a Nemechek and he has a recognizable name, even though Joe wasn't he wasn't Dale Earnhardt, he wasn't Richard Petty, but he's still a well-known name in the series. So he gets some extra respect from that, but that's really never helped him. He's never had sponsorship because of that.
Right. I mean, another good example for your argument is okay, well, what if he becomes Justin Haley?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The thing with John Hunter Nemechek is I think John Hunter came up trying to do the grassroots, let's build our own team, get in on talent, and he tried that route and it didn't work. It got him to the 38 car. And that was the best it could do. Yep. And instead of just continuing on that route and being a Matt Dibenedetto and never getting an opportunity in a top-notch car, he decided, let's start over. and he started over. He went down with a good team with good funding and Toyota's help and built himself up to where now he's driving for a 7-time champion. So,
yeah, I think, and that's a great point you make too. He worked his butt off, got to the Cup Series, and then, batted his eyes at Toyota, and they're like batted their eyes at each other, right? And they're like, yeah, come on down. We'll let you run some trucks for us if you want to run down here. And now you're in the pipeline. So, again, I think it's the journey you take.
For every Ross Chastain, there's a Matt Dibenedetto.
Yep.
And we've got Corey LaJoie living the same thing right now, and the verdict's still out. We don't know where that's going to end up.
Yep.
But Corey LaJoie could very well go the same route that Matt Dibenedetto did.
Yep. And I used Chris Buescher as an example, but Chris Buescher, it's not apples to apples. That dude dug in deep, and he's closing in on 300 career starts.
Yeah.
And is just now seeing success. And it's like, for me, I appreciate the grind that some of these guys, like, they just don't quit. They're not going away. And now you have this amazing breakthrough, and it's this amazing story.
Yeah.
But it doesn't take away from what Hunter Nemechek has done either.
The problem with the grind is that
you can get lost.
Well, you just don't know if you're going to get the opportunity.
You could get chewed up and spit out.
You have to get the right guy. You have to have Rick Hendrick or Jack Roush or somebody who supports you enough to let you learn and get there. And some of these guys just don't have that. I mean, shoot, look at Noah Gragson, James.
Yeah.
I mean, he's screwed up, but he was out of that car. He was not, last year was a championship contender. He was the hottest thing in the Xfinity series last year. And he came to the Cup Series, and the season was half over, and he was already done.
Yep. Yeah, he was done before his scandal. I mean, he was.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he was out. That scandal was just that was just an opportunity.
Yeah. Well, and look at the, again, I'll give you kudos to your side of the argument. You look at what.
Well, that's because I'm right. I mean,
it's again. I think it's the journey you take, right? I'll stick with it. Like, I just know what I like, and that's fine. But you look at Corey LaJoie and you look at John Hunter, and John Hunter decided, I'm going to go full time and go in the Toyota pipeline. Corey LaJoie keeps dragging, grinding, and finally gets a shot with a Hendrick Motorsports ride, and everybody laughs at him when he finally gets that one race versus multiple seasons of what John Hunter's doing.
Yep.
That being said, like, when John Hunter went down, I stand by this. I felt like, you're already a Cup driver. You should go in there and you should win multiple championships. Like, there's no reason that guy shouldn't, capitalize off of everything. And
no, exactly. I mean, he's doing what he should have done in the lower series. Honestly, he's fallen short in the lower series. He should have won a Truck Series championship.
Yeah, he hasn't won. So I'm just waiting for him to. He's been there. He missed the Final Four last year for the Truck Series, so it's like, come on, man.
Well, and Austin Hill might steal it from him this year, or
He
somebody else.
might. Austin Hill's dangerous, yeah.
So, but the difference between those two is that Austin Hill has been inconsistent, whereas John Hunter has not.
yeah, John Hunter's
But in a one race format, it don't matter how consistent you are. You just have to be good one day.
Exactly, you get a Daniel Hemrick win out of there. So
yeah,
that was good. That was good debate, man. I didn't know we were going down that road, so that was good.
Me neither. I'll give you one more. There was a time when they only cared about the Cup Series, and that's all that mattered. That was the Richard Petty mindset, and that's what Kyle Petty did. Kyle Petty went straight to the Cup Series. He didn't race in the lower series. He did some Xfinity stuff, especially when he went and took Adam's ride. But here's a guy who grinded it out in that Cup Series and just, never really got a chance to amount to anything.
Yeah.
So, and he got some wins, but.
Yeah, and we're about to see a guy who's not going to spend the time in the Xfinity Series.
Yeah.
He's going to go from the trucks to the Cup Series, and that's Carson Hocevar. And you and I are high on Carson, but he's not going to come in with as much seat time as a lot of these guys either. So.
And the difference is that he is not going to go to a Toyota team that's equal to the best Toyota team.
That's right.
In theory, he's going to go to the underfunded, low-funded, crappy Chevrolet team.
Yep.
More than likely. So
exactly.
Either way, whether he goes to Kaulig or he goes to Spire, he's still in the same situation. I'd say Spire is a step up from Kaulig right now.
Oh yeah.
So and again, that's nothing against those organizations. Those organizations have gotten better. Rick Ware Racing's gotten better. We're not talking about how terrible they are this year.
I know. Yeah.
So
yeah.
props to them for turning their stuff around. I mean, they're not competing for wins, but damn, they're putting people in the cars that matter and getting some results and not the laughing stock of the series anymore. They're not wrecking all 3 of their cars in the Daytona 500, anymore at the back of the pack. So anyway, speaking of playoffs and Xfinity Series, this was our final race going into the playoffs for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Riley Herbst had the chance to get in over Parker, and they messed up, and Riley falls out. Parker Kiligerman makes the playoffs for the Xfinity Series. So good for Parker. Good to see that.
Enough of Riley Herbst. I mean, I mean, come on.
He just went backwards over the last several weeks. I mean.
Oh, enough. I mean, come on. How does that team not make it in?
I don't know.
Stewart-Haas Racing. What a mess.
Yeah. I don't know.
What a mess. I don't know.
Brandon Jones also misses the boat with the 9 car. I'll be curious to see if he's back at Junior Motorsports next year.
I mean, what a surprise, right?
Right? Yeah, I mean,
guys.
he changed my mind last year. I think right around this time, didn't he win Bristol? And I'm like,
he was running good. Yeah.
So I'm like, well, maybe this guy really is something. And then he went over to Junior Motorsports and sucked like we've seen him do in the past. So
Junior Motorsports.
Man, talk about going backwards this year.
I mean, they maybe spend less time on the. I shouldn't say it. I'm not going to say it.
Well, when NASCAR takes away their advantage last year, that didn't help.
Oh boy, yeah. There you go. Yeah,
I mean,
you said it. Yeah.
So, yeah. You know what they could do? They could start bleeding tires. I mean that.
Or they could give their drivers their own podcast, and they could gripe about it.
Right. Anything else with the Xfinity Series? I know you didn't have much to say about it.
No, that was about it. I'm glad we went down the John Hunter rabbit hole. Yeah. So that was good.
Speaking of bleeding tires, the Kansas Lottery 200 Truck Series were in action on Friday night. Love having a Friday night race. Just period. It's fun to have Friday night racing. Christain Eckes picks up the win there. And the final race of round 1 of the playoffs, Matt Crafton and Matt Dibenedetto fall out. The Matts. Bad night for the Matts.
Yes.
In the Truck Series. So they are out of the playoffs now. As we
Dibenedetto gave it a ride, though. I'll give him that. He tried.
Yeah. Yeah, he had a heck of a run there at the end. He almost got there.
Well, he missed it by a point or two, didn't he?
Yeah.
A couple points?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, he could have got the win. That would have solved his problems, too. But
yeah. So, so we head into Bristol with 8 left in the... No, yeah. 8 left?
Yeah.
Right?
No, yeah.
Yes.
No, it shouldn't be. It's not 8 races, 8 drivers.
No, 8 drivers left.
Yeah, I was gonna say not 8 races, 8 drivers.
Yeah, 8 drivers left.
Yeah, and they're like under a blanket. Hocevar is tied for what? 1, 2, 3, 4. He's in fifth, I guess, and
fourth.
He's only 8 points
he's
out.
Fourth,
yeah, tied. Yep.
Yeah.
And Zane Smith's 8 back. So yeah, they're all really tight now.
Yep.
Especially with Ty Majeski continuing to get sand slapped.
Yeah, so let's talk about the Ty Majeski thing. We got to see actually what they did this week. If you missed the video, Bob Pockers had it. I think Jeff Gluck had it as well.
Yeah, if you got
they had
NASCAR's what is it? The tattletale?
Yeah,
show and tell.
Show and tell. I like the show and tell. So basically, they had a notch in a pin in the top of the valve stem, and when the tire got to a certain pressure, it relieved the pressure or pushed the valve stem in and let some air out of the tire and kept the tire at an optimal air pressure, and got him almost to win at Richmond and got to win at IRP before NASCAR finally spotted it and cut it off. And now,
well, how did they spot it, Eric? Did you know how that happened, didn't you? How they caught it?
Other people talking about it?
No, he was rolling through tech.
Oh yeah, that's right. They heard it.
Yeah, they could hear the air going.
That's right. Yeah,
out the tire.
Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant.
So, and then they sucked at Milwaukee after having it removed.
And that's the Carson Hocevar quote that said, now we're racing on an even playing field.
Yep. So a couple things to discuss here. First of all, Brett Griffin said on DBC, this is cheating and somebody should be sitting out. They should be suspended indefinitely. The crew chief should be suspended indefinitely. Potentially the tire guy that did this should be suspended indefinitely. Other arguments from the other guys is everybody's doing this stuff. Everybody's trying to find ways to do this.
I saw people giving him kudos.
Yeah, and then there's the argument that most series allow tire bleeding, and NASCAR should just do that.
Oh my God.
First of all, I gotta agree with Brett on this thing. This isn't playing in the gray area. This is cheating.
Yeah, this is big time cheating.
Yeah, this is putting jet fuel in your car.
Yeah, this is blatant cheating.
Yeah. I think the little slap on the wrist he got does nothing. It really doesn't have any effect on them whatsoever.
No, they'll be fine.
I mean,
they might be a little bit slower on the track.
Yeah. I don't know. If you're not gonna discourage cheating by really throwing the book at somebody like this, I mean, you're just kind of saying it's fair game.
Yep.
So I mean, Denny Hamlin wants to start black flagging people for restarts, but these guys are bleeding tires.
Yeah.
So,
man,
I don't know, man. I like I said, I don't always agree with Brett. Often don't agree with Brett, but I think he's right on this one.
Yep.
Somebody should be
actually,
sitting.
yeah, I do.
And
agree with that
I don't
too.
think Ty Majeski should be sitting. It's not Ty's fault. Ty didn't do it, more than likely. I mean, I guarantee he didn't know it was on the car.
Right.
He just knew the car was driving real good.
Yep. Yep. Heck yeah.
So I don't know.
He wasn't bothered by it.
Yeah, but we'll see. I mean, I guess NASCAR spoke on it, and that's what we got. So
how is this still happening these days? I mean, yeah. Well, now we know. Don't bleed your tires.
I mean, I gotta say, it was pretty brilliant.
It is. It is.
So, I think it was TJ Majors said that what they used to have this contraption they put on that was like brass knuckles. They had a little pin on it that they go by and basically punch the wheel, and it would poke a hole in the tire and let the tire bleed. Crazy.
Oh man, yeah. There's NASCAR and cheating with tires is never gonna go away.
No.
When I was a kid, remember Jeff Gordon was soaking his tire. Ray Abraham was soaking Jeff Gordon's tires. Yep. That was the big controversy. That was a Jack Roush special, if I remember correctly.
And that's the argument here is, okay, they do this at Phoenix. They win the race. They win the championship. All you do is blow the tires and the burnout. Honestly, NASCAR should ban the burnouts for the winners for this stuff.
We got to quit blowing tires on burnouts.
I love the burnout, but yeah, if you flatten a tire, that should almost be a penalty.
This is reckless speculation. But when Martin Truex Jr. was winning a championship, that 78 car was popping fenders quite frequently.
Well, we've got audio of Chad Knaus telling Jimmy Johnson to hit the wall. I mean,
he cracked the back of the car, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and
it ain't new, man.
These guys are all cheating. We know they're all cheating. If you're running good, you're cheating. And I forget who it was that had the old line that, I know they're cheating because they're beating me and I'm cheating.
That was Bobby Allison, I think.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, so. It might have been. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah.
But
oh well.
NASCAR's trying to get rid of it, but you're never going to get rid of it completely. And this stuff happens everywhere. It happens at the short tracks.
Well, they keep taking ways to adjust the car away and make them unique, and teams are just keep trying. They got a lot of smart people who can't be smart, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
Right. Well, smart enough to get a win and get in the playoffs and then take your penalty. So.
Yep.
I mean, that's the argument, James, is if the net result was a net gain for Ty Majeski, they didn't learn anything.
Right.
And I think it was a net gain.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Well, we're gonna see.
Yeah. Yep.
I guess if they don't win the championship, I guess you could say that's karma. But
right.
We'll see.
There you go. Let's talk some news, James. We already talked about John Hunter, so we can put that in the background. We got some breaking news this morning. Literally breaking news. Stage breaks are back for the Roval.
Great.
Yeah, what's your I know you don't like this, or do you not care?
I'm indifferent to it. The car, listen, you can't fix road course racing with a bad race car.
Right.
Race cars bad on road courses, so have them or don't. It's going to be the same to me.
So I didn't want to be that guy who started saying, let's just bring them back. Because I fought so hard to get rid of them. I wanted to get rid of them, but let's put it this way. I don't know that it was a failed experiment, but I don't think it changed anything, because the guys who were outside of the top 10 still pitted before the end of the stage.
Yep.
And the guys who were in the top 10 still pitted at the end of the stage.
Yep.
So it really didn't change anything other than give us fewer restarts. And right now, the only thing that's entertaining on a road course is a restart. So honestly, they should just throw the caution every other lap and just have a bunch of restarts.
Honestly, I think they should I would just eliminate stage racing at road courses and just say no stage points, nothing. But
I think you
can't do that.
We'll keep the stages. We'll do it. I mean, the biggest thing is just the consistency. If we're gonna have the rule, let's just have the rule everywhere. We brought in the the shoes ruled all the tracks this season now, and then we go and change this so road courses are still different. Let's just keep it all together. But we've both come to the conclusion too that then we also need to oil the track down, and then the road course racing will be good.
Yep.
Or you can go to Laguna Seca, where the IndyCar drivers, who I consider much better road course racers than our NASCAR guys, look like idiots this weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, it did help that they just repaved the track, so the track was slick as hell.
Yeah.
And Laguna Seca is not an easy track to begin with. But I'd like to see the Cup cars those Cup cars dropping 10 stories in the corkscrew at Laguna Seca.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
I think Formula One would be fun to race out there one time, but
yeah,
there's not enough money to be made, so they won't do that. But
yeah,
Cup cars would be good there.
It'd be fun. I mean, we're looking for a place to replace Fontana. There you go. Laguna Seca sitting right there.
Right.
Speaking of the Roval, we also found out this morning cars will also run the chicane on the front stretch, coming to starts and restarts this year. They haven't done that in the past. They've started in the dog leg.
I don't know about that one.
I think this is all a part of, just like everything else, just trying to break them up coming in the line so they aren't piling into turn one. I think we've gone overboard with that, James. Again, consistency. I mean, sometimes we want to be a clown show, right? I mean, isn't that what the Roval's all about, is a clown show?
Sometimes we don't have a choice. Yeah.
I mean, I kind of feel like the Roval's a gimmick as it is. Let's pile them in like we always do.
I was gonna ask you. I'm starting to feel like the Roval has run its course.
I still like the Roval.
I just think maybe it's time. Maybe time.
I still like the Roval because it gives us an opportunity to race at a track twice without racing the same track.
Yeah, it's fine.
If let's put it this way, if we did the Indy thing, and we only ran the Roval and we didn't run the oval, then yes, I would have a major issue with that. Right. But we still run the oval, so. Yeah, the 600 still got its event, and it's a great race.
Well, and mile and a halves are so much better than anything else. That's the problem
if you're gonna bring back mile and a half racing, let's bring back a couple of the tracks we shut down.
Yeah,
I mean, Chicagoland's got action this weekend with Super Motocross. Let's bring it back.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep. Kentucky's sitting there. I know Kentucky sucked before, but with this car, I don't know.
Yep.
Texas hasn't been awful with this car. It's not been great, but it's not been awful.
Right. Yep. That's a good point too. Yeah.
I don't know.
Charlotte's been good. I mean,
I hate to run two races on the same track if we took a race away. So I'm good with keeping the Roval or getting rid of the Roval and just going there once.
Yeah. Yep.
So, the rumor flying around that Ty Dillon.
I was gonna say I left it on there.
Dillon. Rumor is Ty Dillon could go to Kaulig in the Cup car, replacing AJ Allmendinger, who would move back to NASCAR Xfinity Series in 2024, race full time down there. This is a blatant rumor. I have not seen it from any credible source, although credible sources have said that there's possibility of AJ moving back down. Do you think Ty Dillon's going to be able to keep clawing his way into rides, or do you think his ship has sailed?
I was just going to say, why are we still giving Ty Dillon full-time rides?
I don't know. I mean, I love Ty as a person. He's a great dude.
Yeah, I have no problem with him.
I think he needs to go. He should go race the Truck Series.
Well, and I don't know. I thought the AJ to Kaulig Cup would be a lot better than it.
Me too.
Panned out, but that team is
Kaulig hasn't been good. Yeah.
No. So yeah, I had high hopes that AJ was going to be able to win a road course, but
I expected him to be in the playoffs.
Well, he's getting older. Maybe
he's got a kid now.
Well, maybe he wants to do less racing and go to the Xfinity Series. Maybe that's what he wants to do. And if that's the case, then that's good. I would put somebody. I don't know. I'd try to find somebody who's got a little bit more upside than Ty Dillon. We've seen the best of Ty Dillon.
Yeah, I agree.
His better days are behind him at this point.
Yeah.
Hard to believe that guy that we know.
I thought he'd be better than Austin, and not that Austin's setting the world on fire either. But Ty was the talent to me, but he hasn't proven it.
Yeah, and he never. I gotta give him credit. He never had to go to RCR for it.
Yeah,
maybe he got the raw end of the deal. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
One driver we do know what he's doing next season. Sam Mayer. He's returning to Junior Motorsports next year. Announced today. I'm not surprised about this. I was kind of curious where he'd go or what he'd do. But it really seemed like Junior had the mindset of working with this kid and helping him grow. So I'm not surprised to see him back another year.
Yep. No, it's a great move for them too.
Yep.
Yeah, I like that guy. I'm pretty high on Sam Mayer. I think he's got. I'm not sure what he'll be down the road. I know he'll be a Cup driver though.
Yeah.
And he'll be pretty decent. So.
Interesting with Junior Motorsports, see what can come from the Xfinity Series. I mentioned Brandon Jones. We don't know what he's doing next year. Whether that goes away, you've got Josh Berry moving up, so that ride's open if they're going to run it full time next year. And Carson Kvapil, Junior's late model driver,
he's
on the Josh Berry route. He raced in the ARCA Series last weekend at Kansas. He's racing the Truck Series at Bristol this weekend. Getting some opportunities, so there might be an opportunity to move him up if he can get some support.
Yep.
So,
yep. Yeah,
he's good, man. He's good.
Coming. Oh yeah, he's good. Yep.
So, and Travis Kvapil's dad or uncle? I can't remember.
This is dad.
Dad.
Yep.
So,
yep.
If the name sounds familiar, that's where that's from. So, NASCAR announced today Noah Gragson has been reinstated. Noah will actually race in the ASA race this weekend at Toledo Speedway, according to Bob Pockrass. Noah issued a statement. I want to express my sincere gratitude to NASCAR for reinstating me over the past several weeks. I have dedicated myself to personal growth and reflection, and I believe I have become a better person because of it. I couldn't have done it without the support of my family and the NASCAR industry. I'm now more focused and committed than ever to representing my future team in the best way possible. I'm eager to get back behind the wheel and compete at the highest level, giving it my all on and off the track. Thank you to everyone who's been a part of this journey, and I can't wait to make the most of this second chance. Question.
Yeah.
Noah Gragson is reinstated right before an impending announcement for the 31 car at Kaulig. Nothing's scheduled yet, but we were told that the announcement would shock the world and that it was coming in the next couple weeks. Is this a coincidence, or am I reading too much into it?
I would hire.
Oh, we just lost your mic. Your mic just died.
Oh, no.
Wiggle. See if it fixes it so I don't have to edit.
How about now?
Hey, you're back.
All right. Fixed it. Yep. All right. I have a bad port, so that's good to know. All right. But yeah, anyway, what I was saying was, is yes, I would, Noah Gragson was available. I would give it a hard look. I know he's not having the best year, but I would definitely consider that one. Yeah, for sure. 100%.
Yeah. I mean, if you're an Xfinity team, man, you'd love to have this guy, but
yes,
there's still a couple cup rides floating.
I know.
Not the prospects are dwindling. So if you're Stuart Haas or Kaulig, you gotta be looking real hard at this guy.
Yeah, that's another good point. Especially with Stuart Haas struggling for sponsorship like they are, you've got room to take a flyer. If I'm Noah Gragson, I look for something that's more long term.
Right.
I don't know what that is. I don't have a lot of faith in Stuart Haas as a long term viable ride with what they've got. So I would
when they were rumored to be selling a week ago.
Yeah. Yep. I would. Yeah. I know. I would look to try to lock in my future, especially after everything, and that way you can just kind of build something from scratch. He's starting over.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is, if you're going to take a cup ride, you got to get somebody who's going to support you for multiple seasons, not throw you to the wolves halfway through one.
That's right. Yep.
I mean, he didn't. No offense to Jimmy and all that, and I'm sure a lot of it probably had to do with the Toyota situation as well. There's more working parts to it, but Noah really got the raw end of the deal at Legacy.
Yes, he did. Yeah, that was bad. That was bad marriage from the start.
Yep.
So
yeah, and I don't know who to blame, but it just didn't work. So
right,
got to get something that does.
Yep.
And with that, I think that's all our news, James. Unless something broke on X while we were.
No, X is clear.
All right.
X is good.
So we had a Bristol Motor Speedway this weekend. It is the Bristol Night Race. We get to make our picks, and I did beat you this week. But not by much. Five whopping points.
Yep, I had Larson, you had Hamlin. So yes. Our run continues to the finale here.
Still 131 points behind. I've been going back and forth on who I'm going to pick this weekend. And James, I'm going to go with the defending team here, but I'm not going with Chris. I'm going with Brad.
Son of a gun. I already picked him on Twitter, and he took him right out from underneath me.
I'm taking Brad this week. Got to do it.
Oh, man. I wanted to take Brad. Darn it. Well, this stinks.
Good.
I have to root against him, and I want to
discomfort.
I already picked him to win on Sunday. Now I got to root against the poor guy.
Good.
I got some room to play around a little bit. Maybe I won't go chalk here. I don't know. I lied. Actually, no. I'm gonna take Chris Bell.
Okay.
I'm gonna save Chris Buescher, I think, for somewhere else. I'll take Chris Bell. Problem is we're battling for the same drivers now. We haven't had that all season, so I'm gonna make a strategy move on Mr. Buescher. Because you're eventually gonna use him, and I got a couple of options. So
you have so much that you could lose. I mean,
I know
you're golden.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry.
I'm not going to guarantee anything.
And you're much better positioned than Martin Truex Jr. was going into the playoffs. And
that's true, yeah.
So you don't have as much to worry about as him.
Well, I mean, it's not that way in the fantasy league, let me tell you. Did you see what happened to me?
No, what happened?
Well, I had Martin Truex Jr. on my roster, so I had to bench him.
I did the same thing.
I had Bubba Wallace on my roster.
Yep, me too.
Couldn't bench him, and I had Chris Buescher on my roster, which led to So you picked better than me because I ended up with a whopping. Hold on. Basically, I was dead last because we've got a couple people who have dropped out. Yeah, 13th, and you still beat me. So not great. Mickey Elliott was first, Hot Rod Todd second, and Team Justin third. I won last week. I went to the bottom this week, so now I'm third in the playoff standings. Green Eggs and Hamlin's first. Team Justin is second. Those are just for fun. Championship standings, Barron Speedway way out in front, and Ranger Runyon takes second place back. I am third with my fantastic performance at Kansas. So we continue to jockey around for second place.
My savior was Tyler Reddick. I had Tyler Reddick. I had Kyle Larson.
I did too.
I had Denny Hamlin.
Oh, I didn't have Hamlin.
And I guess I don't know how I did on bonus, but bonus might help me out too. So there you go.
Yeah, that's probably it. Yeah, that's probably it.
Any shout outs this week,
All right.
James?
Danielle Trotta was my shout out. I liked that. It's not very often that a member of the media goes after someone, so I like that. Danielle Trotta.
There you go. Just a heads up, just so you're aware, there is a delay between us now all of a sudden, but that's okay. We'll keep going. Just keep that in mind when you start talking that you might talk over me.
I had a feeling it was. I could feel it coming. So we'll get to the end here.
Yes. My shout out is I mentioned the ASA late model or ASA series that has restarted, ASA Stars. Noah Gregson's racing that race this weekend. That is at Toledo Speedway down in Toledo. So cool race to go check out. It's Glass City 200 down there this weekend. So if you're in the Toledo area and want to check out some good late model racing, that's the place to go. CRA also helps with that series. So good racing at Toledo. I'm going to jump into my black flags and then I'll kick it back over to you, James. My black flag is not NASCAR related. It's Aaron Rodgers. I mean, come on, man. 4 plays and you're out for the season. Dude.
I'll piggyback on that. I'll just make it the Jets. Jets fans. Whiny Jets fans.
Flipping the bird on
Become
camera.
a Lions fan and tell me what pain sounds like or feels like. Jets. Get out of here, Jets. Ugh.
James, where can people find you on social media if they want to hit you up during the week?
At James Cush on X, Twitter, whatever.
You can find me at T Super Speedway on X, occasionally on Threads at eyoungdbm. Our podcast is on Facebook at facebook.com/thesuperspeedway. Our website is thesuperspeedway.com. You can find the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, and Anchor. Wherever you found us today, please subscribe for new episodes each and every week. And if you go to anchor.fm/thesuperspeedway, you can leave us an audio message and we might play it on the show. NASCAR returns to Bristol Motor Speedway this weekend as the Bristol Night Race Saturday night. I'm bummed because I don't get to watch it live, but I will be sitting at the big house watching University of Michigan play, so I guess it could be worse. We'll be back next week to break it all down. Until then, everybody, let's go racing.